Hello, hello. Is this thing on? Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Carl, but online I go by KFM. And today I wanted to start a playthrough of my recently released Emerald Romhack called Pokémon Victory, which took me way too long to finish, and it's not even finished yet. But there is a demo out with 10 plus hours of content, and I figured I'd do a developer playthrough and commentary and sort of share my thought process behind everything I put into the game. Now, do note that I'll be spoiling pretty much every single secret that is in the game, so if you want to try out the game yourself, please consider doing so before watching this. The game is sort of made with you, the player, sort of learning everything as you go. So if you watch this video before playing, you won't get the full experience, is what I'm trying to say. But with that disclaimer out of the way, I figured we'd jump right into it. I'm gonna be stopping a lot, like a lot, and explaining everything. I sort of already. Wait, can I go back? I can go back. Okay, excellent. I mean, I can start with the start screen. The start screen has a title card, victory version that I made myself, and some text at the bottom. I'm not an artist, so I couldn't for the life of me create a nice looking background image, so I just kept the original Emerald one for now. Hopefully if the full game releases, that'll be changed. Options, haven't really changed anything in here, except I believe I removed the L2A option. I think that's what it's called. It makes the L button on your Game Boy or your controller act as the A button, and it's just a setting for people that like using that button as their confirm button instead of A. And I had to remove that because the L button has a function in my game when you're in the overworld, which you would know if you've played the game, and you'll find out what it is soon. Otherwise, nothing really different with the settings. I like playing on fast text speed, as I'm sure most people do. Battle scenes on. I'm a huge fan of set, but I'm gonna be playing shift to make it easy for myself, I think. Alright, new game. No professor. It just throws you in immediately. Not that I dislike the introduction with the professor, but story-wise, the character in this game sort of starts just by waking up in their bed after having their birthday the day before. I don't know how old they are. Old enough to go on a Pokemon adventure. You decide your own headcanon for that. So you're tossed right into choosing a character. No custom trainer art for the main characters yet. I have ideas of what they should look like, but like I said, I'm not an artist, so that's not in. We'll be going with boy, because I am a boy, and we'll go with KFM. Also, the music in the background, I don't know if you guys noticed, is the end credits music instead of the usual upbeat introduction music. Yesterday you turned old enough to start your very own Pokemon journey, and so today you embark on your brand new adventure. 2 lines of introduction text doesn't really tell you anything other than you just grew old enough to start your adventure, and here we start. So immediately when you start the game, I've made a decision that I haven't seen anyone comment on yet, but there's no music. There's sound effects, like normal, but there's no music at all. I added this towards the end. I was talking about it with a friend actually, and it was his idea, but I thought it was a really good idea, so I did it. The whole idea is just to start you off gently and then sort of kickstart the adventure with music once you leave your house, which is why there's no music. So it is not a bug. It is intentional. Very curious to see or hear what people think about that decision. Computer, potion in the computer, classic, nothing else. All text is also decapitalized in this game, or most of it. I tried to go get all of it, but pretty sure I missed some. Regular adventure rules, nothing new. Region map. You can tell I made this. This is obviously just the region map for the demo. It ends right here. Spoilers. Already a big spoiler. The demo ends here on Route 11. Otherwise, you can access pretty much every area that's on the map. Every area that sort of has a name. And I say this in my, or said this in my post about the game, but this demo is about 25% of the finished product. So you could think of this map as about 25% of the finished map. No special text with this stuff. Nothing special with the TV, nothing special with the clock. You can see the time though. I'm pretty sure this just grabs your system's time. No idea what it shows if you're playing on an actual Game Boy, because I haven't tested it on an actual Game Boy. Probably doesn't show anything, or just shows some kind of default. I'm not sure. Or maybe you get the thing where it says the internal battery is run dry. No, don't know. Anyways, oh, and regular menu. Nothing special here. And you can run from the start, by the way. So if you press B, you can just start running. There's no run toggle. I might add that. It's a good idea. I didn't think of that. Immediately greeted by our little sister, who is just called Sis, or Sister. None of the sort of family members in this game have names. You can call them whatever you want. Sister immediately follows you, which was one of the first things I implemented, obviously. Following NPCs isn't implemented by me. The original implementation was by someone called Weiser Weiser. I used their GitHub repository to have that implemented, and then RHH got their own implementation of NPC followers. And I'll be honest, I don't remember who implemented that. I think it was Merp or Arant. I think that's the same person. And I think it was someone else that merged it with the decompilation project. So all credits to them for following followers. It works excellently. And it's something I really, really wanted. And I also wanted it alongside following Pokemons. Pokemon also follow you in this game. So even though, at least in the demo, following NPCs only happens here in this room, it's something I really wanted because I think it's kind of cute. The little sister is adorable, or I tried to make her adorable at least. Book just tells you that you can run. It doesn't say that you have the running shoes on you, but it tells you that you can press B to run. Hopefully you try to press B and you realize that, oh, I can run immediately. Otherwise, there's later NPCs that tell you this. Dad, hanging out, reading the newspaper, I don't know. Tells you the same thing as your sister does. Time to go and get a Pokemon by the professor's lab in Route 1. Whenever you talk to an NPC with the sister following you, she always interacts with this NPC as well. Just sort of a nice thing. This is the dad's and sister's room. They sleep together, presumably because the sister is so young. They've got 2 Pokemon, or the sister's got 2 Pokemon. A little Duskull. Yes, that may or may not be a reference to Dusa from Hades. And the Clefairy is definitely not a reference to anything. At least not that I know of. There's a lot of references in this game, by the way, but I'm not a huge fan of blatant references. I say that, but there are some blatant references. This is very subjective. I'm of the opinion that references can definitely sort of take you out of the immersion, but even though I say that, I have references. It's my opinion that they're not super blatant, except for maybe one, which is later on in the game, much later on. But yeah, you've been warned. There are some references. Okay, what's my recording on? Have I been talking for like 20 minutes already? 10 minutes. Hey, not too bad, right? We just got out of the house. Anyways, music kicks in. This game features the regular Emerald music. I haven't added any other tracks of my own. I'm not a musician. I'm not going to be making my own music. I have other tracks planned for the full game from like other Game Boy games, other Pokemon games that I'd love to have playing as well. But that's not in the demo. This is Brandon's house. He's your rival. We'll see him later. His door is locked, and it's locked throughout the entire game because I didn't know what to put inside his house. And I think this has to do a little bit with his story, which will be uncovered throughout the game. There's barely any story in the demo. It sort of picks up towards the end. But I'll tell you right now, I'm not a huge story person. I mostly want story to give a little bit of incentive for players to keep playing. Because I think it's important. It's just that I personally don't usually get absorbed in it at all. Not nearly as much as I get absorbed in stuff like mechanics. Lotad. Very cute. Very annoying, by the way. Bug, I guess you would call it. Or maybe just... No, you would definitely call it a bug. I'm not sure if this is unique to my repo or not, but whenever you talk to a Pokemon, they will freeze. They will stop their little animation. You see Lotad is not moving up and down. And then you stop talking, and then they go back to their animation, and then you talk to them again, and their animation will now play. Don't know if that's something that I'm doing wrong with the scripting, or something that I messed up in code, but it has always annoyed me, but I never fixed it. I don't think people notice it, and I can get away with it, I guess, because it's a demo. But yeah, this is Friend. Again, I don't know what her name is. You can make up your own. She shows up here and there as you travel. Why she does that? I mean, originally I just like the idea of the world sort of changing as you progress. Like I like the idea of NPCs not just standing in the same spot forever. And don't get me wrong, most of the NPCs do that. They just stand in the same spot forever. But I like having them move around because it makes it feel like the world is more alive, you know? They have their own things to do and they have their own travels and adventures. So she'll show up later, she'll leave the town. She does actually like disappear from here. You can come back and check and she's not here and then she's somewhere else. Granny's house. Now, I don't know if Granny is actually your Granny. I didn't think that far. I guess you could for sure assume that. It doesn't really matter. She's also the school teacher. We'll get to the school later, but she lives here. She's a strong Pokemon trainer as well, which is sort of hinted to later. Oh wait, I guess I should try to go up here. Now the little sister also acts as your sort of blocker. She stops you from going places that I, the creator of the game, don't want you to go yet. Which I think works nicely. It's believable. She follows you, and it's cute. And it stops me from having to put like rocks or NPCs in all of these places. It's just the sister always stopping you consistently. This guy, he wants to battle you. You don't have a Pokemon. Oh, and again, all of this, like this area, was made like 5.5 years ago, because this game took a long time to finish, or this demo took a long time to finish. So this is when I first started, and I designed these areas. They've probably changed a little bit from since back then, but largely they're the same. This is the professor's lab. Little signposts that show you what is what. This is where you're supposed to go. If you try to walk over here, you are stopped by the sister again. So let's head on inside. As soon as you walk anywhere, I was about to say as soon as you walk out of the red entrance carpet, he calls on you, but no, he calls on you immediately, I guess. This is the professor. He uses the sprite of Professor Birch from Emerald. I mean, most of the sprites are reused, right? I didn't comment on this before, but the dad in the house in the beginning is obviously Norman from Pokemon Emerald, because I just reuse sprites. In the full game, hopefully they'll have their own sprites, but again, I'll have to figure that out because I'm not going to be making them because I can't do sprites. But I'll tackle that when I get there. We talked to Bristle. He says wahahaha a lot, sort of like, I think, Watson, the gym leader in Gen 3. I think he says wahaha, or he has like a similar laugh. He just laughs a lot. There's a little interaction between us, the professor, and the little sister. The little sister picks out a Pokemon for us. This is random. We run a function that gives us a random number between 0 and 2. And the Pokeball on the left is 0, the Pokeball in the middle is 1, and the Pokeball on the right is 2. And the little sister paces to the left, paces to the right, paces to the middle, and then the random number generator kicks in and picks one. And she picked the middle one, so the number she picked was 1. And she just comments on it. She wants you to pick this one. Absolutely nothing happens if you pick that. You don't have to pick that. She doesn't get sad if you bring home another Pokemon or anything. I thought that was just a cute little thing. She's excited and she wants to pick for you. But she leaves, goes home. Is it safe to let her go home alone? Probably. But for the sake of not having to walk her all the way back home and getting rid of her, she just leaves. And then you're immediately allowed to pick your starter. I'm gonna save state. I like save stating like all the time because I do that when I test, so I can quickly just snap back. I'll try to keep it to somewhat of a minimum to not annoy you guys watching, I guess, but I'll probably be doing it a lot. You can't leave. He stops you. He just tells you to pick one if you talk to him. We're gonna pick... Oh, wait. The starters are Chikorita, Charmander, Mudkip. Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3. No super specific reason that I picked these. I wanted to do something fun with the starters. I'm not personally a huge fan of starters that aren't starters. Like I know some Romhacks pick like just for example Magby, Smoochum, Elekid, which is really cool. But for me, they just don't feel like starters due to the simple fact that they aren't starters in the real games, and I sort of can't get rid of that connection in my head that they're not starters. So I wanted like some of the actual starters, but I didn't want just one generation, I guess. So that's why I spread it out a bit. We're gonna be going with Mudkip. For no specific reason other than I made it an ability that I think is really cool and that I hope works properly in the demo, because it might not, because it took a bit of coding to get right. But it has an ability once it evolves into Marshtomp that is really cool, called Mudcoat, that I want to show off. So that's really the reason why we're going with Mudkip. I think all starters are pretty good. Chikorita is really good for the first gym. Charmander, once it hits level 19 and learns Flame Burst, completely destroys the second gym. And a lot of the game, or the demo after that, honestly. And Mudkip is just fine for most things. It's not that good at the second gym, but otherwise it's fine. He learns Rock Throw for the Rookie D and that the second gym leader has, which is decent. He explains that your Pokemon are stored in the Pokeball and that you can face an open area and press the L button to let them out. That's what you have to do here. You cannot leave until you face an open area and press the L button. You cannot face him and press the L button, so you have to just turn in a direction and press L. And L is the button that lets your Pokemon out of the Pokeball. It also returns it to the Pokeball, so you can sort of choose as a player to have it follow you or not follow you. But I've seen most people just keep it out, honestly. They release in the Poké Center and then they just never put it back in the Pokeball, which is absolutely fair. But it's a nice middle ground, because then you can choose if you want a follower Pokemon or not. I mean, I think 95% of people that play Pokemon want following Pokemon, because it's awesome. But if you don't, then you can put it away. Gives you Pokédex. He also alludes to that you can use the Pokédex during battle to keep track of stuff that's happening. That's a feature I really wanted to add, and we'll look at that once we get into battle. Your rival comes in and interrupts you. Very classic Pokemon. Music changes to the rival theme from Gen 3 Emeralds. He's pretty I don't know the word. Short spoken. Like his sentences are quite short. He's quite punctual? No. Like abrupt? Concise? Whatever. He's a good guy, but he's a bit, brief in his answers, which might make people think that he's a bit rude. Or at least that was my idea. But we'll see more of them later. The professor gives you a Pokeball. Of note, he gives you one Pokeball, only one. I don't think I specify that well enough here, I'm not sure. But he does only give you one, and he tells you to go and catch a Pokemon. So this is your catching tutorial. With this Pokeball that he's given you. You cannot take any more of the starters, and he just tells you to go to the pasture. Wahahaha, very good. What are we on? 20 minutes? Damn, crazy. If we check our bag, we've got Pokeball. Pokeballs now go into the items pocket of your bag, which they don't in the usual games, because you have a Pokeball pocket. The Pokeball pocket in my game is renamed to Evo items, or evolution items. More on that later, I guess. But yeah, we only have one Pokeball. Oh, right, fun fact. You can toss this Pokeball away. Which, like, don't do that. This used to soft lock you, obviously, because you're supposed to catch a Pokemon, otherwise you can't continue. Oh god, he doesn't turn and face you. Hey, I found a bug. Well, let's pretend that he's looking at us, and that I did not just find a bug in the demo that I released to the public. But he gives you another one. Don't lose this one, wahaha. Yeah, no, I won't. Damn, I shouldn't have shown this. Now people know there's bugs in my game. Crazy. But yeah, he gives you infinitely more Pokeballs if you keep losing them. Brandon is now fighting the guy you saw here on the route before. This guy's getting his ass whooped. Can I say ass? Well, I just did. Whatever. He's got a Pikachu and he stands no chance. Fun fact, he probably would absolutely destroy Brandon if he has a Mudkip, but whatever. Brandon is really good at battling for some reason. Pastures over here that you can now walk into. Oh, you can talk to your Pokemon, and they have little fun interactions. This is not me who's made this. This is part of the Emerald Decompilation project, the built-in followers. But it's awesome. The following Pokemon are awesome. And again, if I press L, it goes away in its Pokeball. Press L again, comes out. So you can choose if it follows you or not. This is the pasture. This little Munchlax here heals you and your Pokemon. I used to not have a heal here, which kind of sucked. This game used to be way harder, by the way. I nerfed it so much, which I'm really glad I did, because it makes the experience a lot more fun. This is not a difficulty hack. I want a difficulty curve, not a difficulty cliff. I want the game to start easy and gentle and then become harder, which is why the demo never gets too hard, because it's just the start of the game. There's a Snorlax here. You'll see why in a second. There's a tree. Tree doesn't do anything. I'm pretty sure. Yep. You can catch 3 Pokemon out here in the grass. Oh, well, I guess we'll see which one we get. Pooch. Yeah, we'll just run from this one. I'm not sure which one I want actually. Actually, maybe I want Pooch. Pooch is very OP, I think. It learns an ability once it evolves that it's absolutely broken, I think. But you can catch Poochian out here. You can catch Pikachu, and you can catch Swablu. And in this little cave here, you can catch Teddiursa, Tyrogue, and Venonat. There's nothing else in this cave. There's no items to pick up anywhere. Teddiursa is pretty good. But I think I played with Teddiursa last time. I kind of want to go with Tyrogue. Yeah, so let's get Tyrogue. I'm also gonna do my best to not use the speed up function. I am an absolute addict when it comes to the speed up function, because when I test this game, I just, you know, I wanted to go fast. I've tested this game thousands of times. But I won't press the button. Honestly, I should probably unbind it. Venonat. Fun fact, Venonat used to have Fluffy at this level, the ability, which made it almost impossible to kill in here, because all your starters just no tackle. Oh, there's Tyrogue, good. But now Venonat learns Fluffy at a later level. I think it starts with like Compound Ice or something. Right, battling. Your bag is gone. It says Dex instead. Dex for Pokédex. This is my own menu that I made that shows you the stats, stage changes, level, type, gender, name of the Pokemon. It also shows effects if there's any effects active, like status like poison or field effects like Tailwind. They show up here with a description at the bottom. There's no effects right now, so there's no text. I'm a huge fan of stuff like this. Pokemon, especially harder Pokemon games, are always played with your second monitor having like the wiki open and like calcs and everything to see if you can kill stuff with your moves or not, to check stats, whatever. You could argue that it's a skill thing to know a Pokemon stats in your head, and I think it is a skill thing, but I don't think there's a single person on Earth that knows literally everything, and I think Pokemon can be a lot of fun to play with when you have a lot of information. Not all information, like I don't show abilities here, but the most important thing I show is the stats, and that's insane. Like that's huge, that you can just see the speed stat. I can see that I'm faster, so I know I will go first. That is not a luxury you have in regular Pokemon games, unless you're, you know, calcing or whatever. So yeah. Also, the background is completely white because I can't draw, which I've said before. You'll see this pop up a couple of times, but yeah, that's why it's just functional menu, not a pretty menu yet. Nothing different. Nothing different when you go to swap Pokemon. Just regular. In the fight, you can see move information by pressing L. This again is not me that's implemented. This is part of the Pokemon Emerald decompilation, but it's a very nice feature. That's probably everything I want to say there. Let's give this guy a whoopin'. Actually, let me show you Tail Whip and Mudspell. Oh, Endure Perfect. I think Endure shows up an effect. I think it's a one-turn effect, yeah. So we'll Tail Whip, and then I'll show you the Dex menu again. So nothing on the Mudkip here, but on the Tyrogue, okay, Endure is not an effect. We've lowered its defense, so a little blue downwards arrow shows up to show that it's got -1 defense, and the new calculated defense stat is shown next to defense. Let's do Mud Sport just to show effects again. Oh, also for those that don't know, wild Pokemon press a completely random move all the time. There is no AI. It's just random. So he's just randomly not choosing to attack me. Mudsport on both sides. name, duration. I don't have duration for everything. Like I don't have duration for variable durations like sleep. Like you don't know how many sleep turns you have. You can have anything between 1 and 3, right? So I don't show that. And then description at the bottom as to what Mudsport does. Awesome. Let's put you down. Half an hour, by the way. That's how long I've been rambling. That's awesome. You can catch the Tyrogue or any Pokemon, any wild Pokemon, after you defeat it. So once its HP hits 0, you're given the option if you have Pokeballs on you. I'll save state here. If you press no, it faints. You get experience as per normal. Let's jump back. If you press yes, you throw a Pokeball. Catch rate always 100%. Otherwise, I feel like not having it 100% wouldn't make sense if you kill it or faint it. I'm gonna say kill a lot. I mean faint. Like faint a Pokemon, you don't actually kill them, but I'm gonna say kill because that's just what I'm used to saying. So once you kill a Pokemon, catch a Pokeball, 100% catch rate. You also get full experience for catching. This catching change, actually, let's see. You can give it a nickname, nothing else, right? This catching change doesn't have like a super strong reason to be in the game. I had the idea. I think I was inspired by the anime, because in the anime, or at least the early seasons of the anime, they always just feint the Pokemon and then Ash catches them after they've already fainted. So I just wanted something like that. Tried to implement it, and it wasn't too hard. Well, actually, that's a lie. It does have some niche interactions that sort of breaks certain moves. I think absorb moves don't heal you if you decide to catch a Pokemon. Like, it just skips the healing. Same with stuff like Leech Seed. But yeah, I decided to keep this catching mechanic. I think it's new. I haven't seen it before, so it's a fun new thing to try out. It makes it way easier to catch Pokemon. You can catch as many as you want very easily as long as you have Pokeballs. Which couples nicely, I think, with my way of handling experience and my region's gimmick. Both of those things we're going to get to later. In later episodes, I guess, if this is going to be an episode kind of thing. Probably is, because I've been rambling for half an hour plus already. But yeah, so that's catching. All the other Pokeballs, other than the regular Pokeball, don't do anything. They're not in the game. They're planned as skins, so just like for fun, but that's not in the demo. But we'll get to a bit more about that later too. Right, so once you've caught a Pokemon, you can leave here and Birch will stop you. Sorry, Bristle. Professor Bristle will stop you and talk to you. But what you can do, which I guess I will show you, it's going to be annoying to show when I don't have my debug tools. I'm going to speed up for this, so apologies. Well, I'll try to show you this. We have to faint. Whoa. Oh, he's howling. Okay, cool. Nice. That should make fainting quite easy. We have to faint because there was a situation, or is a situation, where you can catch a Pokemon, thus moving Professor Bristle down to the exit of the pasture that you saw before there. And but if you faint, you respawn outside of the lab, which puts you behind where the professor is standing. Well, let me just, because he's standing here, right? I'm gonna jump back and forth a little bit here just to give you a visual example, but he's standing here, and if you faint, I don't think you guys can see my mouse cursor. Wait, no, you can. You definitely can, I think. Well, I'm hovering over the door of the lab and this little sandy patch. That's where you would respawn. Well, that's still where you respawn. But you would respawn behind him, and then you would completely break the game because you'd have to talk to him to continue, but now you're behind him and can just keep going, and that just messes up the order of things. So I scripted an event where if you do faint, after having catched a Pokemon, or caught a Pokemon, he talks to you here. And Yep, still managed to catch a Pokemon. Wahaha. And then he just goes into his regular dialogue. Here's your Pokemon. Yeah, so that was an edge case that I'm glad didn't make it into the demo. I'm glad I found that, or thought of that, fixed it. But yeah, it's just that sort of stuff that you don't really think about all the time when you're testing, and can be easy to miss. So that's why testing is so important, I guess. But nice. We've successfully caught a Pokemon in the pasture. If you go back, the Snorlax is blocking you, which is really funny. But yeah, that's just so you can't go and catch more Pokemon in there. Because the Pokemon in the pasture are only catchable in the pasture. For now. They will be catchable later on in the game, if the full game ever releases. But for the demo, they're only catchable in here. And they'll be catchable in the full game much later on in the game. Because my idea was to sort of give players a second starter, in a way. I chose between 6 this time instead of 3. So Tyrogue is technically our second starter. It just sort of turned out like that with how I made the maps and the catching tutorial, but I really liked the idea, so it stuck. I called them second starters. This guy was the guy that was battling our rival. He got trounced, so now he's all sad about it. Understandable, honestly. Although we're going to destroy our rival later when we fight him, because I nerfed the hell out of him. He was very strong before. A lot of things were very strong before. I'm really glad I nerfed the game a bit. We can now walk here, talk to this lady who gives us a berry. Our first item received from an NPC, I guess, yeah. She explains what berries are and that you can hold them for use during battle. Thank you very much, lady. A little bit of grass here. 4 Pokemon that you can catch? No, 3. Yeah, 3. Ladybug, Pidgey, and Zigzagoon. They show up later too, so I'm not gonna bother with that grass. Well, what I'm gonna do is probably end the episode here soon, right? Because we've spent a lot of time already. Save states. Pretty sure her text changes when you come back. Yep. Your sister ran home looking super excited earlier. If you got a Pokemon from Professor Bristle, you should go and show her. I don't think the granny's text changes too much. You can either go back to your house, or you can choose to just keep going. There is absolutely no difference in rewards or items that you get or story progression or whatever, because I'm not a fan of locking that stuff beyond a point of no return. So all you get is like a bit of a cuter cutscene in the house. It's faster to go straight up, so if you're like speedrunning for whatever reason, I guess you will go straight up. But I'll show you both. The dad shows up and says that the sister fell asleep. And then he does his regular tirade of giving you a map. And talks about Pokécenters. Mom. Go out and enjoy your journey. Bye bye. See you later. Cool. Save state there. If you go into the house, this happens. She jumps around a lot. This was a bit annoying to code, actually. To get the right Pokemon to show up. Well, it was annoying to code it in a nice way. If you're a coder, that might make sense. The code is kind of yank here, but it works. There's loads of yank code, by the way. But hey, if the final product is good and doesn't crash, it works. And then she runs off, goes to a room, you return your Pokemon, and then you talk to your dad, and he says the same thing about the map and going on a travel or going on a journey, etc. Finish talking to him. I'm not gonna speed up. There we go. You can't go in here. Your sister's playing with her Pokemon, making sound effects. Relatable, honestly. Talk to dad again. He says he's made your bed for you. You can heal there. I'm pretty sure I set the respawn point to your house only if you go in here. So maybe if you go straight up, you'll respawn at the um, professor's lab. Honestly, I'm not quite sure. And I'm not about to look at the code right now. But yeah, you can heal here just by walking into the bed. And yeah. But I've been going for 40 minutes. Should I keep going? No. I think this is a great place to stop. Alright, I'm gonna save here. And yeah, I guess we'll continue next time. So thank you everyone for watching. This was my first ever YouTube video, if that wasn't painfully obvious, and I know my mic quality isn't too great, but I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you consider playing the game if you haven't already. I'll probably make more of these because it was actually quite fun, and I have a lot to talk about and ramble about, so yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye.